Good morning. It's the solstice. It's the 21st of December. I'm just making some deadlines. Seems like I live my life just in time. Well, there's no sense rushing to one's ending. Good hot chocolate. And I think I got just the right amount of maple syrup in there. 2 little teaspoons. Tablespoon's too much for me, and a teaspoon, well, that's what I'm going to go to next. I'm going to cut back on this some more, and I'm going to start doing a little bit more fasting. I'm hoping to interview an acquaintance with the dance community. He thanked me years ago for mentioning the USS Liberty, and he's one of the survivors, and those guys feel very much left out. Please pray that he agrees to the interview. His biggest concern is he doesn't understand the politics and the international aspects of it. And of course, I think an ideal interview would be for him to ask me questions about the history that's led up to the current events in the world today. And I really pray that Dick lets me interview him and lets me have a few hours, because it would boost my channel up tremendously. I think it would take me over the 1,000 mark. If anything's going to, that would do it. I also think that we have a message to save America. And right now, I'm going to entitle this particular presentation, Trump's Treason. And I'm not joking when I say that. You see, he took an oath to support the Constitution, and he failed to support the Constitution the first time. And he's stepped up his failing even more so this time. And the failure in particular I want to bring your attention to is that Trump is trying to complete the electronic fencing, complete the captivity, our slavery. Yes, we live in a slave society, a slave system. Even the people in the East look at it that way. I know, we think they admire us and are jealous of us, but who would want to be jealous of a country run by the Satans? Seriously. I just looked at a picture of Jay-Z. It looked like it was his birthday. There was a goat on the t-shirt of the woman who was serving him up. There was a goat on the background, and his eyes looked kind of weird. These people are serving the Satans. Then yesterday, a friend of mine posts that a fellow was required to sacrifice his son in order to get out of prison. That's what the cost they extracted from him to get him out of the penitentiary. And this rapper, who I can't identify him, I don't keep up with that music, he said that it was okay because he could have another son in service to the Satans. Now, I don't have the eschatology exactly right. I say the Satans because I consider them a class of angel, a fallen angel. And I believe there were 200 of them on Mount Hermon, and that is from the book of Enoch, which I don't have in my hands, and I've never read it myself. Well, I've read a version of it, but I don't remember it mentioning 200 angels. That's come from so many other people. It's like common knowledge right now. So I know you're going to say, what's your reference? Give us a link. I don't have one for you. A friend of mine gave me the book of Enoch and took it away from me. He's since passed away, and he gave it to another friend in the meantime. And I'm a little disappointed by that. But, the guy gets older, he forgets things a bit, and he handed it to somebody else who's older than I am, and I'll probably be able to get it later, to be honest with you. I just thought about that right now. Trump's treason is this. He's going to make us the Bitcoin capital of the world. Bitcoin is just like completing the fence. You built a 3-sided fence and you feed the pigs every day as much as they want. They can feast to their heart's content, and they come back every day and feed again. And so they're going to build up the last wall of the fence. It's an electronic fence, and I'm talking into my electronic leash that brings me to you. Seriously, folks, we are in deep trouble. Trump has violated his oath of office. He hasn't supported the Constitution. He supports Israel. Miriam Adelson is dictating to him who's going to be in his cabinet. I don't really like him very much because he's not America first. He's quite a salesman. That's all he is a salesman. I don't think he's a charlatan, but he's not that far from it. And his family's converted to Judaism recently. And I don't believe that for 1 second. I think they've been in that camp all the time. I think that there are more Jews alive today than we realize. I think they've hidden their numbers. They haven't revealed themselves to us because they don't want us paying attention to them. They want to be able to slip under the radar. They want to be able to get away with what they're getting away with. I got a friend who's posting about feminism on Facebook, saying that 80% of the feminists in the 60s and 70s were Jewish women. I believe it. And I believe it's a problem. You see, we are run by the Satanists. They have taken us over. And it's what's in the Bible. It's what's foretold in the Bible that when we turned our backs on Yahweh, and as a direct result, we're suffering these particular things that are specified in the Bible. It's in writing, baby. We got a contract. And it's written in the Bible twice. You don't have to believe me. You can go get your own Bible out and read it. If you have an NIV Bible, I'll tell you, look in Leviticus and Deuteronomy, and the sections will be entitled Blessings for Obedience. These are the rewards for obedience. Curses for disobedience. The curses are twice as long, more than twice as long as the blessings. And for me, I heard the United States of America was a great Israelite nation more than a decade ago from my good farmer friend Andy, who since passed away. And he made a point of telling me, notice I said, it's a great Israelite nation, not the great Israelite nation. And he's right. All Israelite nations have been under attack for quite a while. All are illegally occupied, and there are Jews in the positions of power. I don't even really want to call them Jews because the Bible doesn't call them Jews. The Bible in the book of Revelations in 2:3, in chapter 3 verse 9, both times, another double witness, says they're the synagogue of Satan. And then I look at the pictures of Jay-Z. I look at all these people that have wealth and fame and fortune. And they're all Satanists. They're all worshiping the devil. And no, I do not understand the structure of the devil. The smartest man in the world, I think his name is Langdon. I'm going to give him that. I'm going to go with that. I'm not going to take the title away from him, not for myself, but I certainly am not going to give that title to Donald Trump. Donald Trump has violated his oath of office. He needs to abide by what the Constitution says, or he needs to go the hell home. And I hope we hold his feet to the fire. And of course, this current Speaker of the House needs to go away. He should no longer be Speaker of the House. He's failed as well. You see, they keep us trapped. They keep us paying for our own prisons. They keep us paying for their systems of enslavement. Their Federal Reserve System is a system of enslavement. We could say it's Pharaoh come back to life. And sadly, Joseph had a major role in that. I've never been able to put that into proper perspective, so don't turn to me for answers on that. But the word is that all of these people studied their money magic in Babylon, and they all lived in the same subdivision of Babylon. I can't remember the name of it. I haven't read that history enough, so it's committed to my... I can't just roll it off my tongue. I don't remember it. I have not uttered that name very often. But there was a subdivision of Babylon, and that's where the money magic masters came out of. And we have another problem, is today Switzerland seems to be fulfilling that role. Don't ask me how. Oh, the skull shape, the bone structure, the mass of the brain seems to be similar between the pharaohs and the inhabitants of Switzerland and southern Germany, Bavaria. They have the same larger brains with a single parietal lobe bone, and most of you and I have got two of those lobes, two of those bones, with sutures, if you will, with the crevice, a crack between them separating them. They don't have that. They have larger brains. Why do you think they worship the fish god? Why do you think the Pope wears the mitre hat, the fish god hat, which used to have the eyes in it, by the way, but they thought that was getting a little too obvious, so they took the eyes out of it. However, they left the two triangles that form the star, the shield, what they lie to us and say is the Star of David. David didn't have any stars. The only star in the Bible is the Star of Ramphan, which I believe is another name for Molech. And if you want to understand Molech, then go look at the Ukraine. Look at the symbol on their unit patches. That's the old sigil, S-I-G-I-L, the symbol for Molech. It's on their unit patches on their shoulders to this very day. What I love is the fact they're funded by a wealthy oligarch who's a Jew. So it's Jews and Nazis back in the Ukraine. I left that as a video a while back. YouTube didn't like it very much. But Mr. Hitler, Mr. Putin here, Putin, says he wanted to get rid of the Nazis. My God, I wish we could get rid of the Nazis in the United States of America. You need to understand we've been taken over. The FDA, the CDC, the government, the bureaucracy, the positions of higher power are all occupied by Jewish people. And most of them hide their Jewish identities. Not all of them. But the fact is, the Jews run the country, they run the world. They have a one world government. It's already here. Don't kid yourself. All of these corporations have interlocking corporate boards. The same people sit on these various boards. It is the world order, not the New World Order. Let me put my finger in the frame here. Not the New World Order, but the World Order. And that was a book written by Eustace Mullins. And he didn't call it the New World Order. And I don't call it the New World Order. And I think that I don't know better than Eustace, but I know differently. I believe that these Delos fell a few Earth ages ago. And they've been in here for a while, running things. They dig in because they know when the great destructive day is going to occur. And it's in your Bible. Take a guess where it's in your Bible. Well, the book of Revelations, right? It's the end. It's the big story. So where would it be buried and hidden so you couldn't find it in the book of Revelations? Under the same month and day as the Messiah's birthday. From what I can tell, and I could be wrong, he was born in what we would call September 11th, 9/11, which is why they took down the Twin Towers on 9/11, to traumatize the whole nation so that we wouldn't think of anything good and wonderful like the birth of the Messiah on 9/11. But if you go to the Bible, you will find 9/11. There's probably several 9/11s in the Bible, but I'm just going to go to Revelations. And I've read this before, and you need to understand this. We are screwed. We are totally screwed. We are screwed for several reasons. And the only way to change things is to repent and to return to Yahweh. And that includes Donald John Trump. So we need to hold his feet to the fire. And what did the Israelites do? What was their practice? The king was required to read. He was required to read the book of the law. The first 5 chapters of the Bible are the book of the law. The Bible is a history book. According to one of the teachers who's younger than I am but knows a lot more, and he's been through a harder life, I look at it as a history book, and he corrected me, and he told me it's a history law book. It's a history of the law. So we need to tell President Trump, you're going to read the first 5 pages every day. That's your job. And no, we're not going to give you, well, okay, all right, I should be flexible. Well, give him some time off on the Sabbath, which is Saturday. But he's going to go back to reading on the first day of the week, which is Sunday. Revelations, I opened up to 11. I reverse things sometimes. Revelations 9:11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit. It's here. It's under 9:11. Whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon. Abaddon. But in the Greek tongue, his name is Apollyon. Apollo-yon. You and I think of the pit as beneath our feet. It's a nice way to put it so the plebes can't understand what the hell you're writing about, which is what has happened. And so what's been revealed to me, and I'm bringing this to you, I'm going to take the credit, and some of you are going to want to blame me for it. The bottomless pit is up over our heads in the sky. What makes it a pit? Because when it blows, it takes most of the surface of the earth out. It knocks the earth further out of its orbit away from the sun. It increases the mass of the earth. It stops, the earth's rotation stops. I don't think it goes in the reverse order. I don't think the earth tilts, or if it does, it could tilt right back. I don't think those are the case. But the water keeps rotating, and it washes over the continents. And the land sinks and rises. But you need to understand that when this happens, and for most of you who are in my audience, I'm going to say half of you easily will be alive when this happens, because it's coming. And we know the date. October 16th, 2046. Plus or minus 60 days. 60 days before then, 60 days after then. It's published in... Do I have it handy? Yes. God's Day of Judgment. By the way, the book is available again. It's in paperback. It's not cheap. You have to pay sales tax to the state of Colorado on it. And you got to pay your sales tax on it. And you got to pay the shipping on it. So plan to spend just under $50, but do get the book. I will refer to it as I start to read it and digest it, but I have too many personal things I have to take care of. But I love talking to you. I mean, this to me is my job. It doesn't pay very well. Speaking about getting paid, please like this and share this. Trump's treason. Because Trump's treason is he's turned his back on the Constitution. The Constitution says only coined silver and gold are money. And he wants to turn us into the Bitcoin capital of the world. So the electronic fencing system, the electronic penitentiary is complete. And they want us to extend this to the rest of the world. But I think Americans may be waking up. Americans may take a stand and refuse the electronic servitude. Refuse to empower the little group that came out of Babylon, out of that suburb of Babylon, to continue to imprison us and live off us. They're a bunch of parasites. So, the pit is in the sky. The pit blows. It does that because of the dust, space dust in this part of the galaxy that irritates our sun when we go through this part of the galaxy. And this may happen in another part of the galaxy too. It could be in 2 to 4 parts, or it could be just this part. I don't really know. But I intend to find out before I die. The thing you need to understand is that when the sun gets irritated, it blows. And if you don't believe me, it's in the Bible. The sun appears covered in sackcloth. It means it's covered in solar spots. The whole thing. And the radiation from it, the sunlight changes in quality drastically. The sun gets irritated and blows this coating of shellac, the space dust off it. And some of the space dust hits us. And the Earth rides a little further out of its orbit, just like Mars is further out of its original orbit. And one day we will be just like Mars. We won't have an atmosphere, and we will have the remnants of the cities and the civilizations still on the surface of the planet. Hopefully by then Venus will come online and we'll be able to inhabit that. But there's no reason to go to Mars. You can only be an Earthling on Earth. And it's not just the location, it's the biome. It's all of the good bacteria that we are host to, all of the good organisms that support us and give us our immune systems, by the way. I'd appreciate it if you consider buying one of my Bibles, and maybe you need to send somebody a late Christmas gift. Get one of these. The proper name version of the King James Bible. It's the latest and greatest. Oh, and there's a couple other newer Bibles out. There's maybe not quite a newer one from South Africa, but there are others out there. This is the most accurate one that I know of. There are some others. When I have the money and the windfall and the place to put the books, I will buy those. Right now, I'm looking at returning some books I recently bought because I want to spend more time in the Bible. I'm not reading this enough. The Bible tells us really all that we need to know. They say there's nothing here to get you saved, and I don't think that I agree with what they consider salvation. I don't think I agree with what they consider Yeshua's, the Messiah's mission either. Larry Blanchard wrote some good books. and he's highly educated. And he came to the conclusion that, well, he led me through his writings to the conclusion that the original sin that's bannered about in the big box churches is not the original sin. It's the results of the original sin, but the original sin is actually in chapter 6. The fallen angels conspired on Mount Hermon to go into the daughters of men because they saw the daughters of men were fair. And so they decided to take every one of them they wanted to be a wife. A wife didn't mean you took out a license and had just one. A wife meant you went into her, got her pregnant, and had children. And, of course, there was no limit on that. And there were 200 of these fallen angels. And I guess they were pretty potent. And one of the fallen angels seduced Eve in the garden. And Eve we believe that Eve was deceived by Gadriel, the fallen angel, and seduced. And then we believe that as a result she became a deceiver, because immediately following Genesis chapter 3 is Genesis chapter 4, and it starts off with Eve lying to Adam about having gotten the man-child from Yahweh. No, she got it from a fallen angel named Gadriel. So we have the first paternity fraud. It's written in the Bible. And today, 30% of us don't have the proper names on the birth certificates. Might be important to you, I don't know. But I do think that if I was the governor, I would require a paternity test. I would require a paternity statement. And then I would require a paternity test. And if there was fraud committed, I would require time in the penitentiary. So we are going to have a nova. The sun is going to nova, and we're going to have another ice age. I thought I might have... I pulled a period out of the Bible that I thought the ice age would last, and the period is 9 months, the same as the gestation period for a human baby. However, according to this book, I'm wrong. But according to the 2 Russian physicists who actually studied this stuff formally, one studied the onset of the ice age, the other one studying the exit from the ice age. According to them, it's a short period of time, 9 months. And it begins with the sun's nova. So the Russian physicists agree upon that. And according to the other Russian physicists, it ends when the sun flickers, a nice warm tongue of heat. What do we call the solar material? Oh, well, there's a special name for it. But that will hit the earth and begin the warm-up and the great melting. Now, when the ice age happens, the oceans are going to be not going to be there. According to the book of Revelations, there's not going to be any sea. I don't think I can find that for you. But John says, I looked out and the sea was no more. So I believe that all of this water is going to be coming down in the form of snow. And there's going to be maybe 4,000 feet of snow. And it's going to condense, compact, and we're going to have glaciers taking over the earth again. This is what the Native Americans called the purification, the great purification. And, you may not want it to happen, but it has to happen. For life to continue upon the earth, it has to get recycled from the damage that we in particular have done to it. We've apparently done a lot of damage to these earth ages. According to the Sikhs, according to Yogi Bhajan, we've already destroyed the planet 4 times with nuclear war, ending up in an ice age, and that could happen again. So, I'm the one who breaks the news that they worshipped Apollo. Why? Because Apollo gives life, and Apollo takes it away. And the Earth age is 12,068 years. They haven't all been that length. There was an exception. I haven't read this book and studied his charts yet, but he's got the raw data in the books like a good dissertation, a good scientific publication should have the data in there available so people can look at it again to make sure there's not been any errors. So he's published that, and he doesn't even realize what he's published, because I think he's published the exact period that the fallen angels came to the earth, and I think it was shorter than the others. That's just my hunch. It's my guess, and I could be more likely to be wrong than right on that. Okay? So, Mystery Babylon is pretty weird. The Bible, unfortunately, is being used against us. The evil ones read the Bible and they mine it for everything bad they can from here, and they use it against us. I wish that America would return to Yahweh. Why? Well, a lot of reasons why. The number one reason is that Yahweh has a history of repenting of the evil he plans for a civilization. And I'm hoping, and it's a long shot, it's a bit of a punt, I'm hoping that Yahweh, if he sees us repent here on the surface of the planet, he may repent and allow more of us to survive. But maybe that's not best, because you see, at these times, we go through extinction and speciation. So we have species that disappear from the face of the earth, and America is so bad at this particular point that maybe that's what we deserve. And we have a speciation, the creation of species. And nobody quite understands that process. I have a friend who revealed it to me, and I don't know if she knows what she revealed or if she understood it, but regardless, I extrapolated it from what she told me. So this gamma radiation, which is also space dust is another way to look at it, has got energy to it, and it's got mass to it as well. And the gamma radiation may cause the speciation, may cause things to change. Now, my guess is that the evil ones know about this much more fully than I do. And I'll bet you anything that we are going to have superhuman powers, if you will. We are going to see a superhuman on the planet, a higher, more refined species on the planet. At least I'd prefer that over the Satan's taken us over completely, but they've pretty much taken over America. They run America today. So if Vladimir Putin nukes America, I'm not going to be holding it against him. I'm going to look at it as this is Yahweh's will. Why? Because Yahweh said it's his will. It's in the Bible. We'll check it out again here. We'll go right to it. Yeah, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not happy totally with Yahweh. I do want to ask him some questions. And one of my big questions is, Yahweh, why did you have the Satan class run your creation, your planet? Why did you do that? So I'm turning here to the minor prophet. It's just not that this is a minor section, but he didn't have much to say, so it's short. It's minor compared to Isaiah or Jeremiah or Ezekiel or Daniel or Ezra. Ezra's written more than what you realize. Zechariah chapter 5, verse 4. I will bring it forth, says Yahweh of hosts. He's telling us he's going to bring forth the nuclear war. The first three verses are describing these intercontinental ballistic missiles and their multiple independent. They're described very well. Zechariah 5:1. Then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said to me, What see you? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits, so it's twice as long as it is wide. And that sounds like the size of the warheads that are in existence on both sides, all sides of the oceans now. And then he said to me, This is the curse that goes forth over the face of the whole earth. That's what we're facing. We're not facing a limited nuclear war like those jackasses in the White House surmise. In error. They're thinking, we can win a limited nuclear war. We don't have anything to fear about. Who the hell's advising them? They've been given bad advice. This is the curse that goes over the whole earth. For everyone that steals shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and everyone that swears shall be cut off as on that side according to it. So we have a dichotomy. It's a false dichotomy. I mean, it's mixed metaphor, to say the least of it. But you need to realize he's talking about the sacrificial fire, hellfire and brimstone. The same thing they did to Sodom, Gomorrah, and her neighbors, which is written in the book of Jeremiah, that Yahweh regards us as Sodom and Gomorrah and their neighbors. We found the tells over there. They got nuked. There was a crystal at the destruction level. The bodies were all oriented away from the blast. It was a very sombering 6 weeks while they excavated that level of destruction. And I guess they didn't even talk among themselves very much. They were so distraught. And they found a crystal. Took it to Sandia Labs in New Mexico, who immediately upon seeing it said, Where the hell did you get that thing? It only occurs at the site of nuclear bomb blasts. So I'm going to tell you what I want Trump to do is I want him to turn to Yahweh. I want you to help me with several thousands of other Americans put his feet to the fire. You get a hold of your congressman and you tell them, I want a return to the Constitution. We're going to have the original structure the founders gave us. Why? Well, it's going to put us to the task and to the test like nothing else before. But it'll also give us something very constructive to do. And besides that, we're not going to be able to agree on anything else. And we don't have to redo it. We do not need a convention of the states. We just need to enforce the original 13 amendments. The rest are null and void. That's another video. I already covered it. We want to return to our pocket change, our silver dimes, our quarters, our half dollars, and 10th ounce gold coins, quarter ounce gold coins, half ounce gold coins, full ounce gold coins. We want to return to that. We don't want to be enslaved by another man's system. That's what Blake wrote about, the Romantic poet. I didn't do very well in that class. I had a lot of trouble with the imagery. The fact is, Blake was much darker than I could fathom. Blake actually did some pictures that I don't appreciate much now that I know he did them. He did pictures of those fallen angels coming to the earth like he was worshiping them. I'm sorry, I never met the man. You shouldn't be criticizing them. We need the system our founders gave us because we can agree upon it. We do not need the modifications. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. The Bible defines money. The Constitution specifies money. It's pretty much the same thing. Except we use the word coined. And that's what our Treasury Department and Mint do. They coin the metals. And they keep the excess metals that come off of those mintages, and they hand the coins to the owner of the metal. And it's just government certification, and the government is for its services gets the excess metal. So there's a little bit of a commission on it. That's one of the main incomes from the government. The other are the tariffs and duties at the border. We didn't have any taxes back then. We didn't need taxes for 150 years, more than that actually. We didn't need taxes since our inception until about 1913. So I apologize that my voice is a little soft. Hopefully the headset has made up for it. If you're offended by the title, then be offended and pass this around, because Trump needs to be required to read the first 5 books of the Bible every day, the law, in order to be able to manage this country and this people. That's what he has to do. Because we are the great Israelite nation foretold in the book of Genesis. My brothers and I argue. I think we're the descendants of Manasseh. They think we're the descendants of Ephraim. I don't mind disagreeing on this point. It's one way or the other way, but we do know this. We have all of the tribes here. All 13 tribes here. Depends on how you count it. If you count it up, you could count 14. But it's not just 12. It's 13. Tell me where the tribe of Joseph is. Answer me that one. It's not a riddle. But if you can answer that one, then you know that there's 13 tribes. May Yahweh bless America. Yahweh blessed us with a Declaration of Independence. There's a flaw in it. I can correct it. Yahweh gave us the Constitution and gave us the first 13 amendments. I can fix it. I can get it set straight. Not too much of a problem. I need a lot of technical expertise, though, because I don't know how to rebuild the legal system I can't use Bar Association attorneys. So that's got to be figured out, fixed. But I do know that the professions have been turned against the laity, and that we are busy killing each other every day. I have no confidence in the medical profession. I have no confidence in the legal profession. I have no confidence in the dental profession or my field of psychology. I have no confidence in these things. They have all been captured. They're all run from the top down. A lot of what we have came from the oracle at Delphi, and that was nothing more than a con job that they did there. And they did take a woman, drug her up out of her mind, put her on a tripod seat above the vent that's come up from the ground at Delphi. And they acted like they were the priests that were there maintaining the place, acted like they were the only ones who could understand what gibberish she was spewing, because she went into a trance and said something or other, did some weird stuff. And of course, it was nothing more than a con game. Kings and queens, princes went there seeking advice and seeking poisons to use on their enemies, and the antidotes, of course. That's where your modern medications come from. That's where this ugly system seems to have originated. It was sorcery. It was deception. It was lies. It was pharmakia. Pharmacy. May Yahweh bless you. May you give me a thumbs up. Bless me. And if you really feel inclined, buy one of my Bibles. They help the channel out a little bit, and I am in dire need of some funds. I want to be able to travel the country. I'd like to buy a few more books. There's some other projects I have that I'd love to be able to do. I mean, some of them are not small. They're going to require, I could use millions on one of the projects, and I would spend it if I had it. May Yahweh bless you. May you bless Yahweh. Today, may you pray to Yahweh and ask Yahweh, what can I do for you today, Yahweh? Lord, what is it you would have me do? What's your will? Your will is for the greater good. Show me your will. Give me the tools so I can carry out with your will.